we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. On infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections.
If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious.
Violence and vandalism is being led by Antifa and other radical left-wing groups who are terrorizing the innocent, destroying jobs, hurting businesses, and burning down buildings. They are coming after me because I am fighting for you. That's what's happening.
Greetings, fellow thought criminals, and thank you for joining the insurrection. I'm Michael Albert. This is Derek Evans. It's another glorious week in America's new golden age, and we've got a lot to discuss this morning.
Yes, we do, man. Hey, as always, guys, like, share, subscribe, all those good things. We appreciate it. If you're watching live, whatever platform you're on, hop in the chat. Read all the comments. I'll do my very best to give you guys a shout out. We got an awesome show lined up for you guys, and we really appreciate you guys hanging out with us here today.
Yeah, and before we get into everything this morning, I also want to mention Kash Patel has his 2 final votes today. I'm still trying to figure out how he had so many committee votes and everything else, all these procedural maneuvers, but whatever. But yeah, pray for Kash Patel. We need him in there as FBI director, and it sounds like today's the day.
Oh, yeah, the left is already going crazy over that. They actually set up a podium outside of the FBI building that says, not to confirm Kash. They're holding a little press conference out there. You have Senator, I believe his name is Whitehouse. He's the senator a Democrat senator from Rhode Island, who was just this morning giving a speech about, that he was going to cause chaos or something. I mean, I don't want to get it wrong. Let me get this right here in terms of what he said. I got it pulled up. Kash Patel, this is a quote, Kash Patel, mark my words, will cause evil in this building behind us. Ooh, they're scared to death. It's hilarious.
Oh, yeah, they are. Yeah, I saw another post. Again, I don't know that this is legitimate, but apparently they're going to try to drag out some FBI agents to go tell them why Kash Patel gives them nightmares. So they're going to drag them out. I was so excited for a second. I thought you were saying that after Kash Patel was confirmed, they were going to go in and drag some of these FBI agents out and arrest them. I was like, yes, let's go. Cancel the show. Let's go pop some popcorn. Yeah, no kidding. That's probably coming tomorrow, after he's confirmed. They'll just bring the paddy wagon up and we'll start from there. Oh, man. Well, we do have a developing story we got to get into. Whoops. And that's taking place over now at CPAC this morning. Well, it started yesterday. Update. Numerous prominent J6 political prisoners are kicked out of CPAC and escorted from premises without giving an explanation why they were thrown out. Sorry, that was really poorly written. And this is a developing story, and we don't really have the details. We don't know if this is a rogue CPAC employee for the majority of these that occurred yesterday evening. That this whole story started when Jake Lang was thrown out and live streamed the whole thing. But then later in the evening, a number of other prominent J6 defendants and Proud Boys were also tossed out of the event. But we don't have a comment from CPAC themselves yet. For an explanation of why this might have been done.
Yeah, well, before I comment on it, I'm going to give a quick shout outs here. We got Dan Dreyer in the Rumble chat. We've got Sean and FG over here in the Getter chat. We've got Care Bear, Thaddeus, Navy Vet, and DFW over here in the X chat on my channel. We appreciate you guys. And then FG had literally just asked, do we know why CPAC kicked out J6ers And the answer is no, we don't know right now. I have not had time to even really watch the videos. I mean, obviously, I've seen the text. We've got group text and everything, so I get the text from all this going on. That's all that I know right now. Only thing I will say is this is weird to me as to why this is happening. I'm willing to take a step back. The emotional J6 side of me is like, what the heck is going on? Why are you kicking my fellow J6ers out of CPAC? The other side of me has to stop and say, you know what? I've spoken at CPAC just a few months after getting out of prison back in, I think, 2022. Yep. And then, Brandon Strzok, Dr. Simone Gold, John Strand, we had a CPAC panel there where we spoke. I know for the last few CPACs, I've been there without any issues, as well as other J6ers. Ashley Babbitt's mother, walks around there a lot. It's been a really good place to network and meet some of these, quote unquote MAGA politicians and to share our stories about January 6th with them while at CPAC. So I don't know what's going on specifically here. I don't know if this is, like Mike said, a specific employee. Maybe there's some miscommunication. I don't know, but I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt until I do some more research on this.
Yeah, especially like considering some of the like psychotic backlash just from DC residents that obviously staff the Gaylord Palms Hotel. Who knows if they're making, false claims, false reports about activity that these people are, doing maybe in a lobby or in a public area, and then using that as leverage to then throw them out of the building, saying, well, this is our hotel, this person's behaving inappropriately, blah, blah, blah. But until more information comes out, I'm not willing to really cast any stones till we know exactly what was going on, or if that was somebody for a specific reason, maybe something else they said or did. Some of these at least could be legitimate. So we need to let the full story come out before before there's any judgment or any additional commentary.
Look, we should always do that. I think that after what I've went through with January 6th, especially dealing with the media and everything, I've always taken the approach of like, let's pump the brakes a little bit, but even more so now. And I think that we need to be even more cautious of that when it is, civil, if you will, like within the same party. You got CPAC, who is, out here, promoting conservatives, and this is happening to J6ers. Like I'm willing to say, let's just wait, let's see what's going on, let's hear from both sides before I start forming an opinion. I think it's important we do that all the time with the way the media is today.
Yeah, and as you stated too, in previous CPACs there was clearly no problem. When I was there last year, met with several different J6 defendants, or ran into them. A lot of them were coming up wanting pictures with Mike Lindell or Lou Dobbs or whoever else. So I met several, and I know there weren't any problems. And actually, one of the nights there, we went out to dinner with three of them. As we were all walking across the street from the hotel it was at to where the restaurants were, they were at the crosswalk at the same time, so we just invited them to join us. But anyway, yeah, so I know this wasn't something that was, at least last year, this wasn't part of the agenda. So we need to figure out what happened before we start digging too deep into this. But we do have some other stories to cover this morning. Committed to preserving national security, Trump designates cartels as terrorist organizations. And then in the same vein, Trump designates violent Latin American gangs as global terrorist organizations. And I think this is a huge step forward, because I think this also opens up other avenues to throw these people out of our country. If they're considered terrorists, they could be considered unlawful enemy combatants, since they are not in a uniform and here within our borders. So it gives them more leverage to throw these people out and to prosecute them criminally. And if necessary, if the violence picks up along the border, like it surely will, from these terrorist cartels, that now using the military to combat that will be much easier. There won't be as many hurdles to clear to retaliate back if they start attacking the people protecting the border.
Yeah, well, first of all, the guy that was covered beside President Trump there in that picture, covered in the face tattoos, that's somebody that the left would say is just, that guy. He's just coming here for a better life. He's just trying to get his child across here so he can work, picking crops and feed his children. That's what the left's going to try to convince you of on that guy, which is unbelievable. I don't judge a book by its cover, but that's an obvious gang member who's not here to.
Well, there's a point where the cover becomes inescapable, and
Yeah.
I think that okay, personally, I think face tattoos are never a good idea. I mean, it's one thing if you want to do like some women do the eyebrows or the permanent makeup, that kind of stuff, or God forbid if you've had a medical incident. I went to high school with somebody like this that had a medical condition, all her eyebrows fell out, and she ended up getting them tattooed on. That's acceptable. But yeah, sorry if you've got your MS-13 logo on your forehead and the little teardrops and whatever else. Yeah. Sorry, you're probably not somebody here with good intentions. Now I understand some of these people could reform, but hey, if you're going to be a reform gang member, clean up the face tattoos. It'll go a long way. It'll be currency that you can carry forward in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. So those people, I mean, at the end of the day, these are not once again, I believe that we need to have an immigration moratorium to where nobody, maybe a handful, like the world's best brain surgeon sort of thing, can come here. Other than that, like people should not be coming to our country. I'm sorry. We got our own people who can build houses, dig ditches, pick crops, all those sorts of things. We don't need to import other people to do those things. I'm so sick of the left using that as an excuse. But this is a huge win in terms of designating these people as official terrorist organizations. It opens up the Trump administration to have more legal authority to do certain things in terms of surveilling them or watching them or raiding them, if you will, and going after them. So this is a huge thing. And my opinion, Trende Agua woke up and was like, man, we are on notice at this point. So I bet they're a little bit nervous now.
Oh yeah, exactly. And to your point, like even once we have cleared out all these invaders that are in our country, I think we need a total reform on our immigration system, that it needs to be more focused on assimilation and people that want to come here, that bring the skills, that bring whatever it is that we happen to need at that moment, whether doctors, doctors, scientists, top athletes, things like that. We still need to make sure that they're assimilating into American culture. And again, this doesn't mean that you have to leave everything from your past behind, but if you're coming here to be an American, come here and actually be an American. I mean, that's again, assimilation is going to be the key to our nation's survival. We don't need all these pockets of little different groups that still want to reflect the country they came from. Like, I'm sorry, like, if you came here to be an American, be an American. You're not here to, go back to being a Chilean citizen or whatever else.
That's exactly right. I mean, the people who need to be allowed to come here are bringing something to the table, bettering this country in some way, and also need to be people who are willing to assimilate and want to be Americans. These people left Mexico specifically, and they're out here on the streets protesting right now against us, and they're out here waving the flag of Mexico. And if Mexico is so great, that's fine. Move back to Mexico and make Mexico great again. But don't try to turn America into Mexico. There's a reason you left there and came here. It's even funnier is when it's the people down in LA, San Diego and stuff doing it. It's like, dude, you're like 30 minutes. Just go on back across the border. It's not like you could walk there. Just walk on down and walk back across the border if it's so great there compared to here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying you can't like celebrate Cinco de Mayo or Persian Nowruz or other holidays here.
Always invite people where you're from. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. But still, like, assimilation is key. And it's also going to be the key to success for future generations. You have kids here and everything else. If they're not brought up as Americans, speaking English and integrated into American society, then they're always going to be at a disadvantage. That's the other thing that people need to understand, especially those on the left, that this isn't about protecting their cultural identity or whatever. If they want to do that, they can go back to wherever they're from and they can protect it there just fine. At the end of the day, we have to do what's best for Americans. And the tides are turning. Things are shifting.
Well, I just want to clear up really quick. Like, I agree with everything you just said. It's one thing to be proud of your ancestry, your heritage, your culture, where you come from. That's one thing. But when you're out here protesting against America while waving the flag of another country, that is not being proud of where you came from or your culture or your ancestry. That is, to me anyways, at least I perceive that as you are trying to say that this flag that you're waving right now, that represents something better than what we have here because you're doing it in protest of America. That is where I have the issue with it. I have no problem with Hispanic people, whatever country they're from, if they're proud of where they're from and they want to even still teach their children about that heritage and that community and everything where they come from. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But you are an American now if you've come here the right way and you want to be here and you want to be a part of this, and you also need to be proud to be an American as well. So that was my main point.
Yeah, well, you're exactly right. Well, we're starting to see a huge shift in policy. Trump administration will find every illegal alien who is stealing American taxpayer dollars. This is from Stephen Miller. And then Trump orders agencies to stop taxpayers' funding for illegal migrants. This could add up to over $450 billion in savings per year. I mean, that's absolutely insane that amount of money has been funneled to the NGOs and other things. Now, I know that this calculation does include other things like courtroom costs, costs for crimes against the American people. So that, the left is going to argue that it's not near this total. But I think when you look at full scope, the total picture, and I was just thinking about Springfield, Ohio, specifically after reading this article and these headlines, and like how much damage that's done, how much destruction that's brought to their community there. And some of this damage never will be recouped, but cutting this off at the federal level, the funding, the lifeline that we're giving all these invaders right now, and we are paying for, this is the first step to correcting that problem. It needs to be like this going forward.
Absolutely. To me, this is a no-brainer. A lot of the things, let me back up. I'm not taking anything away from the Trump administration. I am super pumped with everything that Trump, Doge, all the team he's put together, all the things that they're doing. But if you really think about it, have they done anything special? Realistically, the bar is set so low that they are putting forward common sense ideas and common sense approaches. And we are like so pumped and excited about it. That's why I laugh at the left when they're over here protesting these things. Trump hasn't done anything extravagant, if you will. He hasn't done anything crazy, in my opinion. It's all common sense stuff. And it's not to take away from him. There's been no common sense in DC my entire lifetime. So this is very refreshing. This is amazing. But we need to realize here that he's not reinventing the wheel. He's not doing anything crazy. He's literally like, let's stop giving $450 billion a year to illegals. And everybody's like, yeah, let's go. You know what I mean? It's nothing crazy.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, that's the other thing they're flipping out about is, the American welfare state, all this federal money that goes out to people. It's bad enough that I feel like we're supporting a lot of Americans with welfare that don't deserve it or shouldn't be on it, that could go back to work, could do other things. But the fact that we're now supporting foreign nationals with our money on the same system, I mean, I don't care who you are, even if you're here legally as a with an H-1B visa or a lawful permanent resident or whatever, if you're not a U.S. citizen, then none of these federal benefits should be available to you under any circumstances. Now, I will make an exception, like we've discussed before, like emergency disaster relief. Yeah, like if you're caught up in North Carolina just like everybody else was and a hurricane blows through, then yeah, food, water, medical care, the same basic things we're giving to the rest of the community should be available to anybody that's here legally. The reason I say that is because, there's nothing that they could have done that somebody else couldn't have done to prepare for a natural disaster. It's a totally different animal than being unemployed, losing your job, and then being on welfare for 15 years because of it. So we need to save the money where we can. And again, if you're coming here and you want to be a citizen, we are also asking you to prove yourself, prove that you're worthy of coming to America and becoming part of our nation and our culture and our future going forward.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what this is all about at the end of the day. And it's common sense stuff. All these things are common sense. That is what is mind-blowing to me about the left freaking out about all these things. I mean, that's what they're doing. They are scared to death. They're throwing a tantrum. And it's all because all of this waste, fraud, and abuse that we're finding was all, in my opinion, I believe we're going to find out and discover that it was all mainly being sent to not just the Democrats, but the uniparty, if you will, the swamp, the establishment, the deep state. They were all money laundering for each other through our money. And, we've always wondered, it's like, why are these people so hard to beat? Like, we don't understand why we can't get these people out of office, or we don't understand how this person keeps getting elected, or we don't understand why the people are okay with them doing this, and this. Well, it's because they're buying everything. They're funneling so much money now. I think they're buying elections. We know that they're buying the media with the messaging and everything. That's another thing we've talked for years. How are the Democrats so much better at messaging than Republicans? Well, it finds out they're probably not any better. But when you are stealing the money from conservatives and using that to buy messaging for Democrats to the tune of billions and billions of dollars, you could say anything, and you say it enough times to the people and brainwash them, and you package it the correct way, they believe anything. And that's what we're seeing right now with the Mockingbird media. The Democrats aren't better at messaging. They've just been stealing our money and using it to message against us.
Oh, yeah. We're going to get a lot more into this money laundering later in the show. I got one last story here, though, related to immigration. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem has reportedly warned employees that she will polygraph them to find leakers. And again, this is exactly the kind of steps that we need to. This should have been done forever ago. That when FBI agents and other people are leaking immigration raids out so that they can protect the invaders, this needs to be prosecuted. We need to find out who did it. And they need to go to jail. It needs to be treated seriously. We can't allow what happened during the last Trump administration, where the media is constantly talking to these anonymous leakers from within the administration, generating a lot of times fake stories or just absolute nonsense in order to generate their narrative and put pressure on the Trump administration to distract them from accomplishing their goals. So, good kudos to Kristi Noem, and the rest of our agencies should be doing the same thing.
Absolutely, and anybody who's caught doing that should be prosecuted and charged and held, to the fullest extent of the law, in my opinion. That is next level. I would argue that it's borderline treason to do that.
Oh yeah.
I would say it's treason, but I could see an argument for somebody saying it's not or whatever. But there's no way that you can argue and say that this is not criminal in some way in terms of leaking the information of where federal agents are going to be conducting a raid on terrorists. That's another thing when Trump officially labels these groups as terrorist organizations the way that he has. That changes everything in terms of these little leakers, for instance, in terms of the classification of the top of law that they have now broken changes drastically when you leak information to aid and abet a listed known terrorist organization versus just some random person who's in our country. So that's a huge distinction as well.
Well, yeah, because that's literally offering aid to our enemies then, and that's crossed the line. That is, at least in my book, that falls under the definition of treason, and I think it should be treated as such. It doesn't necessarily mean that every leaker needs to face execution, but that needs to be on the table. We've got to take this seriously if we want it to stop. So we need to throw the full force of the law at anybody trying to disrupt things illegally and using their position to launder information out to America's enemies. Guys, we got to take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with even more.
Play your trump card and support Make America Great Again with the Donor Deck. Get your hands on 52 exquisite playing cards, each with powerful quotes from scripture and stunning artwork. Plus, showcase your MAGA pride with a beautiful display case and a reversible challenge coin. By purchasing the Donor Deck, you become an official donor, contributing to our cause and helping President Trump reclaim the White House. Get your Donor Deck today and play your part in making America great again.
Go to the Patriot.tv store and get your Donor Deck now.
Attention business owners and entrepreneurs, Patriot TV is launching a brand new TV series showcasing American-made products, and your business could be featured. Whether you sell your products online on Etsy or Shopify and dream of reaching millions of viewers on smart TVs like Samsung, Sony, TCL, and LG, or apps like Roku, Android, and Apple TV, this is your chance. We're searching for US-based businesses offering all types of products and services proudly made in the USA. If you've ever wanted to showcase your products on TV like QVC or the Home Shopping Network, now's your opportunity. Support our American economy, grow your business, and be seen by loyal Patriot viewers across the country. Know someone with a business or have a business yourself? Don't miss out. Contact us at supportingpatriots.com today. Be a guest on this new exciting TV series. Let's put your American-made products in the spotlight.
What do a neurosurgeon, a country artist, and a television and radio host have in common? They all saw the writing on the wall. Big banks sharing your financial information with big government. Join them as owners in Old Glory Bank, the pro-America online bank that protects your privacy, security, and liberty. Invest today at own.oldglorybank.com.
You're muted, brother.
That's what I get for, I probably sound congested this morning. Obviously, I've been like sneezing and stuff while I'm muting it. But anyway, yeah, thank you for staying with us. And the best way to support our program and all the programs on Patriot TV is by supporting our sponsors. We've got a story coming up about Bank of America. If you're still banking with one of these big monster mega banks, you really need to reconsider. Move over to Old Glory, somebody that supports our values and the political destiny of the United States. Let me go ahead and pull this next story because this is, again, just unbelievable. Doge has accomplished so much in less than 4 weeks. Breaking, Doge reveals Biden EPA awarded $2 billion to a firm linked to serial election denier Stacey Abrams in gold bar heist. Lee Zeldin responds. I mean, this is, again, just absolutely unbelievable. Her organization, let me pull up your tweet here, Derek.
Yeah, I've got it. It's called the Power Forward Communities. It was only a few months old. And before it was granted a $2 billion eco grant from the Biden EPA, before that, its only reported revenue up to that point was $100. So here's a newly formed organization that's got $100 in its account, and the Biden EPA just randomly awarded it $2 billion, and it just happens to be Stacey Abrams. I'm sorry, but this is not a coincidence. This is money laundering as far as I'm concerned. It couldn't be anything else. Like if me or you started an organization right now that we only had $100 probably, which was the filing fee or whatever, had no money in the account, and we applied for a government grant, we'd be lucky to get $2,000, let alone $2 billion given to that organization. This is criminal. This is money laundering, and people need to be held accountable for it.
Well, yeah, and I have several questions about this, but one of which is, why is the EPA, what was she supposed to accomplish with this $2 billion grant? Or was this a payback, kickbacks for delivering Georgia in the 2020 election, since we know her voter organization, she's taken responsibility for delivering that for the Democrats and for delivering the two Senate seats following the 2020 election. So again, this is something we really need to dig into deeper. We need to find communications back and forth. How is this money spent? Is there any left that we can claw back if this went for illicit purposes? And again, why is the EPA doling out this kind of money? Again, the taxpayers have so many questions at this point. I mean, we really need full hearings, and we need arrests on some of these where applicable, especially considering the amount of money. This is $2 billion to Stacey Abrams' group for, as far as I can tell, unknown purposes.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's exactly what this is. Money laundering, man. This is how these people become so rich through the world of politics. They create these little charities, these little foundations, these little organizations, and they get these massive grants. The average person, probably could never get. It really goes back to the old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Like, there's people out here doing really good work for veterans, for instance. There's a group with homeless veterans. It's a nonprofit organization. They work their butts off and you use the money to actually help homeless veterans. I bet you they can't get a grant awarded to them for $2 billion. But here you have Stacey Abrams, who just creates a group out of thin air and has done absolutely nothing with it. You know that they've done absolutely nothing with it because it was only a few months old and it only had $100 to its name ever. And they're awarded $2 billion. Like, this is insane. I want to see arrests over this. Like, the more I think about it, the more I talk about it out loud. Like, honestly, the more mad I'm getting right now. Stacey Abrams and whoever was in cahoots with her in terms of awarding this $2 billion grant to a brand new organization, they should be arrested.
Well, we do have an update on this. It just came out from Lee Zeldin a little while ago. So this $2 billion was supposed to go towards greenhouse gas reduction. I'm not sure, again, how Stacey Abrams and her merry band of community organizers were supposed to effectively spend this $2 billion and somehow reduce overall levels of greenhouse gases. It just makes no sense.
They were going to take $100 million and pay some group of scientists to say that they've lowered greenhouse emissions, and they were going to pocket the $1.9 billion and launder it out to the rest of their team. That's probably how this works. Not the exact numbers, obviously, but that's probably what happens in a lot of these situations.
Well, that sounds like about the right pay structure, but that could lead to some good news for all of us. Trump must discuss sending U.S. taxpayers $5,000 checks using Doge savings. And Trump announces he is considering giving 20% of Doge savings to tax-paying Americans and using the remainder to slash the national debt. And honestly, I kind of think like this is the route to go, that the bulk of this savings should be used to cut our overall debt and deficit, but return the rest to the American people. They've obviously been overtaxed since we had all this extra money to spend. And right now, considering where the rest of the world is on the brink of a financial recession, personally, I think it's already started in Europe and a lot of other places, and things are only going to get worse. This will be a boost to our economy. It'll help alleviate some of the pressure people are facing right now. Eggs are $8 a dozen, and other basic commodities prices are still affected by Biden inflation. This is going to take a while to get under control, and since this isn't just cutting money out of thin air like previous spending's been for for the like during COVID, the stimulus checks
and all that stuff.
Yeah. Since this is savings out of taxes that we've already paid, money that's now not going to be spent, that was clawed back from being wasted, maybe it is time to return some of this to the American people.
Dude, could you imagine? All right. The pickle that these left-wing extremists are currently in right now. They hate President Trump. They hate Doge for no reason, by the way, other than CNN told them and MSNBC told them to hate these people. But they hate these people nonetheless. And now the Doge dividends are potentially where Trump's potentially going to give all of them $5,000. Now, to any left-wing extremist out there, any person on the left who hates President Trump, hates Doge, if you are looking for a place to donate this evil Doge dividend, my family and I will be happy recipients to accept your donation. It would probably help save the climate if you took that $5,000 and gave it to conservatives and teach us the way that would probably teach us a good lesson in terms of conserving the environment. So just donate your $5,000 to the rest of us.
We'll have the Give, Send, Go link up after the show. Can you imagine being a leftist right now and having to argue in favor of the IRS, in favor of all this waste, fraud, and abuse, in favor of, sex changes for animals and all the other just ridiculous stuff the NIH has spent their money on, and then now having to argue against the American people getting a refund of, $5,000, maybe more, of money that was misspent by the government. Being in this, this really is, an absolute checkmate from President Trump.
Oh, at 100% is. There's no denying that at this point. It's 100% a checkmate. Once again, it's going to be interesting. How does somebody going to argue that once again, this is money we've all paid. This is money that's going to be wasted on laundered, abused, fraud, whatever you want to call it. It's all being wasted in some way or another. And then Trump and Doge are taking this money back from the government and giving it back to the people in a true Robin Hood esque sort of way. Yeah. And these people are upset about it. They are still mad about it, but I bet you that they will continue to complain while they cash the $5,000 check. They will complain while the money is being counted back to them from cashing the check. They will still complain and still trash Elon Musk and President Trump because these people are brainwashed to the extreme at this point.
Oh, yeah, absolutely they will. There is no doubt in my mind they're going to cash these checks. Well, here's a story I promised earlier. Revealed, Bank of America not only targets and debanks conservatives, but also has deep ties and exposure with the CCP. Now, again, this is something we've all known for a long time. And Derek, was it Bank of America that went after you, or was it no, sorry.
Chase.
Yep, it was Chase.
Yep.
Well, we've heard plenty of stories with conservatives being debanked. Now we have proof, and honestly, they need to be hauled before Congress as well and forced to explain themselves. Especially with they've also cooperated, handed over financial data and other information without warrants to the federal government. This is they should be responsible for protecting your privacy. Now, if there's a court order or a warrant to hand over information, that's different. But just to hand it over willingly, this should be grounds for lawsuits against Bank of America and others that participated in this kind of behaviors.
Yeah, well, listen, let me just go and tell you guys. I get nothing out of this. For me, I would highly recommend, whether it's Old Glory or somebody else, you can go to a local community bank if you want. I found that that's been pretty good for me as well. You need to, at the very least, have another bank account with either Old Glory or a local community bank of some sort. Getting debanked was and is one of the worst things a person could ever go through. I want to be very clear on this. This is not just losing your checking account. That's what I thought it meant when you got debanked. Oh, well, they won't let you have a checking account there anymore or a credit card there anymore. You got to go to another bank. No. When you are debanked at this level with these major banks, they put you on what's called a PEP list, PEP. It stands for politically exposed person. So they put you on this PEP list. None of the major banks will work with you. You are and it's not, once again, this is not just having a checking account. Every major corporation in the country, probably in the world, works with these major banks. So when you have been debanked from these major banks, you now no longer are eligible to have a line of credit with a major corporation of some sort, Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, whatever. I'm just making stuff up. These types of places, you can't do business with them unless you are paying cash with any of these places. You can't even get a credit card for a simple I used to have a card for when I had auto repairs, something come up with a vehicle. I would pay it. I'd use the credit card to pay that on a specific card for that. It was through a Firestone, I believe, and I would pay with that, and then I'd pay it back off over time or whatever. I'm not allowed. I can't have one of those because the banks won't work with them. So I have to pay cash for everything. That's what happens when you're debanked. We've got to take control back over this monetary system. We've got to fight back against any sort of digital currency that they want to push out, because if they're doing these things now, you can only imagine what they would do if they had full control over that. So getting debanked is a major issue, and that's the one thing I always harp on when I hear people talking about this, because I had the mindset of what it was before I went through it, and then I found out what it actually is, and it's so much worse than what you think when you hear debanking. So sorry to go on my little rant and soapbox there, but that was my PSA to anybody who's watching.
Well, you're exactly right. These banks are chartered and authorized to work within the United States for the benefit of the American people, not a specific political party or ideology. These were the same big banks that were signing up for ESG and all these other things out of the UN and the the World Economic Forum. Sorry, I'm almost lost it there for a second. But we also got to look at the other side of this headline too. So, they're complaining right now about Doge getting access to everybody's data. Well, Bank of America is one of 8 U.S. banks allowed to operate within China and has physical locations there. So does that mean now China also has access to all your social security numbers, your private information, your bank account? I mean, when you operate within China, you have to hand over everything to the CCP. That's part of why we have intellectual property stolen from them left and right. So is this another tool that they can use to leverage to harm American citizens, especially in the event that things heat up with Taiwan or with this trade war with the tariffs?
That's exactly right. And once again, I just can't stress enough to people how important it is to get out of the major banking system. Don't continue to support them. Find a local community bank. They've been great to me. My local community bank has been, and other J6ers as well. Just so you know, when you have your mortgage or car note or anything like that through any bank for that matter, there is a clause in there where they can call the note on the home or the vehicle, for instance, if you are put on that PEP list, the politically exposed persons list, because of high risk. So myself, as well as multiple J6ers, received letters in the mail that we had 30 days, 45 days to either pay off the truck or the car or whatever, or lose it and getting foreclosed on. And so we were all scrambling, refinancing these into local community banks who are willing to work with us at the time. And so I tell people all the time, man, I'm telling you, if I knew then, knew now what I know then, or whatever, that old saying, I never would have purchased a home through a major bank, because of that exposure and that risk that they could do that based on. And quite frankly, they could do that just based on posts that you've made on social media. You could receive a letter in the mail that says you got 45 days to pay off your mortgage, refinance your mortgage or whatever, or lose your home because now you're a politically exposed person. That's how corrupt these people are. And we've got to stop supporting them.
Yeah, every one of these financial institutions should be driven out of business for actions that they've taken over the last several years. And, the only way that's going to happen is that each of us here makes a change, pulls ourselves out of their financial institution. Like you said, go to Old Glory Bank, go to a local credit union. Like personally, I have accounts at a few different organizations here locally, and I've stayed away from the big monster mega banks. But guys, we got to take one more break, hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with even more.
Have a new product or idea, whether it's already in production or just a concept. Whether you're an individual, a small business, or a medium-sized company, our upcoming show on Patriot TV is here to showcase it to millions and launch it in a big way. We're looking for businesses like yours to feature your product on our new show and pitch it to over 6 million followers, eager to support like-minded businesses. Whether it's a single product or a new product line, we have a platform to skyrocket sales. With powerful Patriot TV ads, targeted direct mail, and the influence of our dynamic show hosts, your product will get the attention it deserves. Don't miss this incredible opportunity. Email us now at advertise@patriot.tv to secure your spot and watch your sales take off.
I couldn't give anything a higher endorsement.
I would be remiss had I not include Cardio Miracle on my very short list of secrets.
It's the real deal. It's a real product. It's not another supplement.
I'm operating about 6 to 8 hours, and I've noticed that being on this Cardio Miracle has made a huge difference.
Since I started taking Cardio Miracle, about 8 months into it, the benefits have been fantastic.
If I get hungry, then I just have a Cardio Miracle.
Not only is it safe, but it's necessary to take Cardio Miracle to stay well.
This let me sleep and feeling with more energy, more get up and go, and it's all because of what this company does.
For me as a doctor, Cardio Miracle is a staple.
Cardio Miracle to me is hope in a glass.
To try Cardio Miracle for yourself and get a special fan discount, go to the host page right now and click the link for Cardio Miracle.
Thank you for staying with us. And again, the best way to support our program and all the programs here on Patriot TV is by supporting our sponsors. Give Cardio Miracle a try. I've been using it now for a couple of weeks. I've been really impressed with the results, especially the added energy I have now throughout the day without having to slurp down I don't know how many double espressos and cream throughout the day. So yeah, my heart probably thanks me too. And it's time to make America healthy again. All right, guys,
Absolutely.
We got a few.
Hold on. I got some breaking news for everybody that literally just broke. Mitch McConnell has announced that he's retiring. He's not seeking re-election. So 2026, we're going to have an open red seat in the state of Kentucky. Here's the deal. We've got to find a true patriot, true conservative to fill this seat. We have Rand Paul right now, who's a constitutional conservative representing the state of Kentucky. We need another Rand Paul-esque type of senator in that seat. It's been amazing to watch Kentucky, who's had Rand Paul, and one of the biggest rhinos ever, Mitch McConnell, serving at the same time. So Kentucky, please do your job and elect a true conservative to fill the open seat that is now being left by Mitch McConnell.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. They're a red state through and through. It's time to act like it. All right.
Yes.
House Oversight Committee reveals $241 million in taxpayer funds spent on transgender research using animals. $241 million. I mean, this, again, is just absolutely insane that this level of spending went on something that no one in America supports except for a tiny little fringe minority of mentally defective adults. And you look at this dollar amount and you compare that to, they spent, well, I can't remember if it was 260 or $280 million on the media, and then another $260 million on George Soros Open Societies Foundation. So between the three, this is over $750 million.
Well, where are the leftists on this right now? I mean, where's PETA? Where are all these people? I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not what they would consider a PETA person. I have a farm. I raise some animals. I do all, but I take care of my animals. I love the animals that we have. I think that most people who live on a farm do respect them and treat them the way that they're supposed to be treated. And we're upset about this. Where's PETA? Where are these left-wing people who put animals, on a higher pedestal than human beings? $250 million roughly is being spent on transgender surgeries on animals. This is animal torture that they're doing, or that are using our money to do. Dr. Fauci was also a part of that. This is absolutely despicable. This is sad. I want my money back. I want them to stop doing this cruel testing on animals, and I want them to stop using my tax dollars to treat these animals as cruel as they have been. This is really sad.
No, it's animal abuse through and through. And, how do you think that that poor monkey or rat feels once you've put it on cross-sex hormones or chopped its bits and bobs off? It doesn't understand what you're trying to do. It doesn't understand anything else. It just knows it's being tortured and messed with. And, this is horrible. This is the kind of thing that, like you said, we should be able to unite with PETA and some of these other groups and just put a stop to. I mean, I do understand some need for medical testing with animals, but stuff like this just crossed the line. This is pure abuse. There's no reason for it. We don't need to know whatever it is they're trying to discover. And, it's like a lot of the other the stuff Fauci was doing, like having these, I don't remember what insect it was, eat beagles' faces off. What are they trying to study? What could possibly be gained from this research that would be necessary for humanity to move forward? I don't understand it, and we need to put an end to this immediately.
That's exactly right. I don't understand the need for. There is no need for this. I get that there has to be some research done on animals. I get that when you're trying to find a cure for cancer or whatever, all these other sorts of things. I get it. It's sad. It's unfortunate, but that's part of life. And I do think it should be done as ethical as possible. I'm not saying to go torture them any more than they have to be. I understand that, but this is $240-some million in transgender surgery for animals. This is 100% unnecessary. This is 100% cruel. This is unusual. There's absolutely zero reason to do this other than some sort of sick, evil, twisted game that these evil people are playing, and they're using our tax dollars to do it. This is disgusting. Could you imagine if just some random Joe Schmo farmer was out here even doing half of what they're doing? PETA would be there. This person would be arrested. They'd be facing multiple felony charges. They'd be in prison. And here they are doing this and getting our tax dollars and being appraised for it. This is absolutely unbelievable. I can't believe this has happened.
Well, you're exactly right. Yeah, if this was a private individual, a farmer that was caught doing this kind of stuff, it'd be a national story. Everybody would follow it, and they'd be locked up, and the key'd be thrown away. They'd be in jail for the next 240 million years. But because it's the government, instead, it's going to get defended, and somehow they're going to try to find, something to manipulate people with and make them believe that this was somehow necessary. But it isn't. All right. Shocking. Doge uncovers over 4 million government credit cards linked to 90 million unique transactions. Now, this is something they're still getting to the bottom of, but let me go ahead and read some from the article. And again, shout out to Gateway Pundit for this story. U.S. government currently has, okay, we read through that, transactions. So these 90 million transactions, so far they found 40 billion was spent in 2024. Doge is working with the agencies to simplify the program and reduce administrative costs. We'll go back in a week. So a lot of this was spent through the Department of Defense, roughly 2.4 million individual accounts, and a jaw-dropping 27.2 million transactions in just one fiscal year from the Department of Defense. So we really need to, again, this appears to be more money laundering or an event to obfuscate or obscure what it was being spent on. And again, thank God Doge is in there right now uncovering all this so we can get to the bottom of it. It's not all fraud, but I bet a big chunk of it is.
Oh, 100%. You know that a lot of this is fraud. And even if it's not, there still needs to be stopped. It still needs to be, people still need to be held accountable. So even if it's just waste and that's it, and incompetency, and they can prove that, these people still need to be punished in some way, not criminally, but they should not be in that position ever again. They should not be allowed to make those decisions ever again. That would still be a form of punishment in some way. So there's a lot of moving parts here. I do think that we as conservatives do need to be a little bit careful as Doge continues to find more things out, because some of this is not going to be fraud. Some of it, or even to be, some of it is going to be completely incompetence. That's what this is going to, I mean, not all of it. I think most of it is fraud. I think most of it is waste, but there is going to be a point in time where some of this is a lot of money being wasted through incompetence. And I do think that we need to distinguish the difference between those two as we're doling out punishments and everything else moving forward with this.
Yeah, some of this, and likely a big chunk of this, since it's through credit cards, may just be poor accountability. But again, I think to myself, in all the years I spent in private industry filling out expense reports for different things, that if I were to screw something up like that, they're going to withhold paying the funds until I go give them the proper explanation for why I put whatever on the credit card. And that's the way it should be for government. So again, the fact that we're having to drill down deeper and find out where all this came from, who billed what agency it was through, and for what, is just an absolute nightmare for them to go through. But why was this broken system allowed to exist for so long? That opens up doors for fraud, waste, abuse, and the other things that we're trying to trim back right now. And considering the billions of dollars they found so far, I can only imagine what this is going to be at the end and what they can institute to clean this up.
That's exactly right. I mean, and that's the main thing right there, is cleaning this stuff up. We know that there's all this stuff taking place out there right now. They're finding it, which is awesome. And now it's going to be figuring out, like, not only how do we make it stop, how do we prevent this from ever happening again? That is the ultimate goal of Doge. I think that the short-term things of the Doge dividends are great. The potentially, giving us that money back and canceling these contracts. To me, the main focus for me personally of Doge, the long-term goal, I should say, of Doge, should be to how do we put measures in place to make sure that these things never happen again. I want the work of Doge to outlive President Trump and Elon Musk, and not just their term, but I want my grandchildren to benefit from the work that's being done today through Doge. And it can, if we actually do this the right way and put measures in place to prevent this from ever happening ever again. And I think that needs to be the ultimate goal of Doge.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, that you're exactly right. Like, stopping the waste, fraud, and abuse now and arresting the criminals that have been picking our pockets for the last several decades. That's step one. But step two is long-term, putting measures in place that will force accountability, force investigations, conduct random audits. And when things are discovered that aren't operating the way they should be, that doesn't always mean somebody has to get arrested. Sometimes it just means a system needs to be improved, or there needs to be other measures for accountability, or things to prevent the money from going out the door to begin with. So some of this stuff is going to have to be developed over time, but in the long run, it'll put our entire country in a much better place, and the federal government will be better stewards of our money. I don't even want to say good stewards, because I think that's an impossibility, but better stewards of our money. I think we're almost out of time, but we got.
I do have a little bit of breaking news. Kash Patel has officially went through the final procedural cloture vote or whatever the heck is going on there. So he's made it through that. The final vote will be as right now scheduled for 1:45 today in a couple hours. So I wanted to let everybody know that has officially went through. Shout out to Sean over in the Getter chat for keeping me updated on that as well. Really appreciate you guys for keeping us updated while we're live on shows and there's breaking news going on. So appreciate that.
Yeah, well, light your candles, say your prayers for Cash. We need him in. It's time to dismantle this corrupt FBI. It's time for some real accountability. It's time to get the truth out there. And it's time for the Epstein report, the Epstein Black Book, the Diddy files, the JFK files, all this to finally see the light of day. And that's how we're going to get it through there, is get Cash into the FBI, somebody that'll actually fight for us and fight for ending the weaponization of the Department of Justice and exposing the corruption that's gone on there for the last couple of years. Well, one last story before we run out of time. Appeals court says Trump can't end birthright citizenship. Battle likely headed to the Supreme Court. And I think all of us knew this from the get-go, that despite the other information that was available from when these rules went into effect, the letters from the people that crafted it from when the amendment was pushed forward, that all of us knew this was going to end up at the Supreme Court. I just hope our justices will view this correctly, see that this is a law that's been abused, and correct that going forward.
Yeah, well, it's funny to me that these same people, these same judges were willing to allow Joe Biden just to wave a magic wand and create the 28th Amendment out of thin air. Yes. But now when you got to remember, people, they tried to do that at the last minute and they were all cheering it on. But now when Trump is trying to say that that's not what the birthright citizenship meant, which he's correct, there's going to be this major court battle. But you know what? Once again, I'm actually here for it. I think that we have the Supreme Court in place right now to properly rule on this, to give us the win. I want it to go all the way to the Supreme Court, because once again, if it's just an executive order, it's going to be great for the time being, and then they will overturn it if they get their own people in place. If we can get this overturned and then the Supreme Court upholds that and rules in an agreement with that, that is now binding. That would be huge for the future of this country moving forward, to end the tourism of birthright citizenship in this country, because that's exactly what it is. America has turned into a birthing tourism mecca, if you will, where people 9 months old, they're like, let's get to America and pop this baby out. It doesn't matter how we get there. And that's what's going on. And it's sad. And we've got to put a stop to it.
Exactly. It's abuse of the laws. There's no other countries on earth that have birthright citizenship, no other serious countries on earth that have birthright citizenship. And right now, between anchor babies and chain migration, it's something that's gradually drowned the American people in endless waves of immigration. And this needs to end. It's time to go back to assimilation and only bringing in people that will benefit America and American society. And once the problem's resolved, that doesn't mean we can't open some paths for asylees, people that are in real need of asylum. But for the time being, it's all got to get shut down until the problem's fixed and we are back on stable footing where we can have an immigration policy that actually makes sense for all Americans. Guys, we are unfortunately out of time here. But thank you all for joining us again today. Please like, share, and subscribe. Help us to grow so we can bring more people the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. And please stay tuned here on Patriot TV for Hannah Faulkner coming up next, or if you're watching on Ex American News, stay tuned for Paul Harrell and the Millstone Report. Thanks again, guys, and we'll be back tomorrow with even more.